Welcome to the Union Pride program. My name is Mike Miera. I am the president and organizer for the IBEW Electricians Union Local 449 here in Pocatello, Idaho. And here on the show we have a guest from a different union every month, and you can learn how you can enhance the quality of life yourself, for you and your family. We don't do call-ins and we don't do debates on this show. And tonight we have Denise McDonald. Thanks for being on the show, Denise. I guess we'll just start out and tell our viewers what union you belong to.
I am with the IBEW Local 283, so I'm with the electricians.
All right, how long have you been a member?
I have been a member with that particular local for just about 5 years now. When I came in and started working with the AFL-CIO, that's the union that I'm under. And before that, I actually worked for another union, which was OPEIU Local 277 for a couple of years.
Okay, yeah, and the main reason why I asked you to be on the show because you're now the labor liaison with the AFL-CIO. Could you tell our viewers what that is and what you do?
Well, I think the labor liaison is actually a role. It is a liaison role, and it's working in a collaborative effort with the Department of Labor and organized labor to assist the dislocated workers of Idaho. And there's a couple of different roles that particular job carries out, and it's something to basically to assist people getting back into work.
Okay, what's the other role?
Well, there's a couple of roles. There's the rapid response, which involves peer support, and that one is working with the dislocated workers. And then the second role that I work with is working with registered apprenticeship and discussing that with students and the public, trying to share that message a little bit.
Yeah, and the registered apprenticeship, that's with all crafts.
Yes.
Okay. What successes have you had reaching out in your job? Like, I understand you go to classrooms and give presentations there, or sometimes you go to career fairs. I
do. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I do. I actually, when I came into this position, we created this role where I decided that the registered apprenticeship opportunity needed to be shared. And I know that the trades do that, but it was something on the AFL-CIO level that I thought maybe I could do throughout Idaho. And so I started creating the materials. I contacted the joint apprenticeship training coordinators and talked to them about their programs, gathered the pertinent information to create a flyer for them. And I started out just sharing those flyers at the career fairs. But then I decided that I wanted to create an apprenticeship guide, which is basically this guide here. And so we created those flyers and we included those into this guide. And now that is something that is shared with the students in the classrooms, at the job fairs, with the adults that are looking into maybe switching their careers or looking for work, and just sharing that opportunity. I think in the classroom, I really enjoy it because I'm able to actually do a full-blown presentation on what registered apprenticeship is and the benefits of that, and talk with the students, and I think it's a very good program.
When you go to these schools and the career fairs, do they get a hold of you to come or do you reach out to them and say this is?
It started with me reaching out to them and letting them know who I am, and because they really hadn't had this approach yet. So I started doing that, and once they heard that, when their careers fairs started coming up, they definitely wanted to have me attend those, so they started reaching out to me, which is good. And now I've been doing that for several years now, and we have a pretty good relationship going with a lot of those hands-on career fairs, and they've really changed the career fairs up quite a bit with offering hands-on activities, which recently I have to say with the hands-on activity, because I have an informational booth at those career fairs, I had to get a little creative with that and create my own hands-on activity because I'm pretty much just informational, but I again contacted those joint apprenticeship coordinators and I wanted to create a trivia game, so that I created a strobe lighted spinner wheel that that is a trivia game. It makes it more fun for the students to learn about another alternative to, four-year degree out of a college setting. So, and one that offers a very good career and livable wage for them.
Yeah, the last career fair there I seen, you had a bunch of kids around your table, so you must have been spinning the wheel.
Yeah, they were spinning the wheel.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were having fun doing it, yeah.
Cool.
It's working pretty good.
I forgot to ask you earlier, how long have you been a labor liaison for the AFL-CIO?
About 5 years now, almost 5 years.
That's great. And so far, since you've been doing this, have you had any kids come back to you, or have you seen any out there that have got a career now because they first met you and got the information?
I haven't actually seen that they've obtained that career, but I've had the experience of being at these career fairs and those students contacting me in my office and wanting to be connected with the joint apprenticeship training coordinator so that they could talk about their program and try to get into it. And I've sent quite a few students to the trades and sharing that information with them. So it's been, I feel like that's been an overall success. If I can get one student turned around and into a career that's going to give them some good wages and benefits, I think that's success for me. So
yeah. What's the most common questions that the students ask you?
I think that I think that if I were to pick a common question, more so it would be after I've discussed the benefits of an apprenticeship. I really go deep into that. I get their attention and talk about that. But the question that comes after sharing that benefit is they want to know if the career that they want to go into has an apprenticeship, because the lights went on. They understood that that's a good way to go and that they would really like to do that. And then they want to know if the occupation that they want to go into has an apprenticeship. And in Idaho, most of them are going to be in the trades, but there are other ones out there that I share with them. But a lot of occupations don't have an apprenticeship attached to that, and that's something that the U.S. Department of Labor, they organize that, and so they're continually changing and trying to organize other apprenticeships out there. And I just let them know that they need to continue to look into it and find out if later, when they're out of high school, maybe there's one out there that does work for them.
Yeah, in my experience, when I'm talking to kids in a classroom or at a career fair there, when you tell the girls that they'll make the same amount of money as the guys, they're kind of shocked at that. A lot of people don't know that happens, that the women do make the same amount of money because they're doing the same work, but the women work smarter, not harder, because the guys are all about brawn and everything. So where you're a woman and you're talking to the girls about this, do they pay more attention than the guys, or is there a difference there?
Oh, I think those women that are truly interested in that hands-on type of work, that they're definitely tuned in and listening and wanting to know more about that. And I thoroughly enjoy it when I can talk to women that are interested in it. In fact, I just did an interview up in North Idaho with a woman that went through an apprenticeship and wanted to get her input on that, because I think that it's important that women know that there are a lot of women that get in the trades, and that's something that I don't think they originally think about that, but once you start discussing the apprenticeship opportunity and that the women are in the trades, then it does spike a little bit more interest. And I think that it's important. It's a good career for them.
Yep. Well, you mentioned you're in the IBEW. What's your classification?
Well, I was brought in to the IBEW when I came in, so they basically are the ones that I joined in order to do this job. So,
I see. I
wasn't with IBEW before I started this job.
Okay.
But I was happy to become an IBEW member and do what I needed to do to carry out this work.
So you're a member of Local 291?
283.
283. Now your office is in Boise, and so lately you're on the road quite a bit. You're on tour.
very much so. I am a one-man show as far as this job, and I travel all of Idaho. You know, I go to the schools and the career fairs, and unfortunately this year, you know, on the peer support side of that, it's we've had a lot of closures, and so we've been working on that rapid response quite a bit this year. And I think you know, the peer support, I don't think I mentioned that role. That's actually a role where I work with the Department of Labor. If let's say one of our contractors closes, or they have a mass layoff, or they relocate their business, and then that new employer chooses to restaff with new staff. All of those scenarios dislocate workers and will require some type of rapid response. And my role with the rapid response is working with what happens is, let's say we have a layoff of 100 people. Mm-hmm. Well, if the Department of Labor deems necessary, then they will hire a couple of those, one or two of those dislocated workers as peer support specialists. And that basically is, you're choosing a couple of people out of those dislocated workers because they have a rapport with those workers, a working rapport. They worked with them side by side. Those workers know them. And so when they're being trained to provide outreach to discuss the services that are available to all of those workers, there are a lot of services out there that people don't know about. And so when they're dislocated from their job and they don't have a job anymore, some of those workers have been in their job for 25, 30, 35 years, and they've been out of the workforce for all that time. I mean, out of the market, you know, of having to market themselves for a job. And so all of a sudden they're cut loose from a job and that they decide, you know, they thought they were going to retire out of. I mean, they never thought that would end for them. And so they really get, you know, some of them get caught up and don't really even know where to start. I mean, they don't have a resume. They don't, you know, they haven't had to interview for 30 years. There's lots of things. And within the Department of Labor offices, they have those services available at no cost. And so that's something that when we hire a peer support specialist to provide that outreach, they're letting them know of all of those no-cost services that are available to them. There's also the Workforce Investment Act that has many tools and opportunities to help people get reemployed, and that's something that I think is very important for them to know. Sometimes it comes down where they actually get retraining for, if they don't have the skills, the job that they came out of they don't have the skills for the market that, you know, that's out today, then they can get retrained. And so that's something that they need to know as well, and that's what the peer support does. So when those peer support are hired from the Department of Labor, then I actually train on the emotional aspects of a closure. And there are gamut of emotions that are a natural part of the process of a dislocated worker, and they're not all, you know, they think they're alone in those feelings, but they're not. It's something that is common in any dislocation like that, and that's what I train on. So I think that's very important. So as far as Idaho is concerned, this year we've had quite a few closures where I've been engaged with rapid response.
And just for, I guess, my clarification, when you say Department of Labor, you're talking basically the unemployment office. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
that's what I still call it.
They don't like to think of them. So there's other services in there now that other than just the unemployment office. But the Workforce Investment Act is carried out through there. That's where they go and they sit down and talk about their situation and find out what they qualify as far as that program is concerned. And then they have like resume building workshops. They have job search workshops, teach them how to work, how to search for a job online. A lot of people that have been out of the market for that long, they've never had to look for a job online. Last time we knew, we were knocking on doors and asking if they needed somebody to work for them. It's not like that anymore. And even the resumes are just completely different from the way they used to be. And they continue to change. That's something you almost need to stay on top of, stay current with. So there's lots of lots of programs and services available to them that are at no cost to them, and it's what we pay for. You know, when times get tough, we should be able to take advantage of that, and I think that, you know, helping them understand that is important.
Yeah, and along with that peer support, that also includes like moral support and helping them cope with the loss of a job, because it does take a toll on your self-esteem and everything. And
it does. The peers, I love the peer support program. I think that if it were up to me, I'd be doing it with all of them, because I think that if you can help one person just pull out of that funk that they're in, it's important. You know, it's something that some people will take a closure and they will just dig in and do what they need to do to move forward. Some people get caught up for a little while, and the outreach program is there to have a continual outreach, to have a listening ear, you know, an empathetic listening ear for these people that need to talk a little bit and pull towards the next step. And I think the quicker we can get somebody moving towards the next step, the better off they are, and the quicker you know you find that reemployment, because you don't get hung up so long. You know, and if you get the right people, which is somebody that they already have a rapport with, who's already understanding what dislocation is anyway, because they were dislocated as well, then it's a continual effort of working with these people. Usually it's about 3 months or so that they provide that outreach. But that could change as well.
That idea of they hiring the co-workers to help with that situation, that is a capital idea, because they know these people, they're already comfortable with them and everything, and that probably does help overall.
I think it's the key to the success of that program. You have to have somebody that they have a rapport with, because the thing is when when they're providing outreach, if somebody's contacting you over the phone and they're wanting to know how you're doing, and you don't know that person, you're not going to open up to them. You're just not going. You're already feeling, your self-esteem's been beat up and everything. You're not going to go and open up to them. Somebody that is calling you on the phone to find out how you're doing, that you've worked with for 20 years, then you're gonna be able to talk to them, and they'll get a lot further in that program if they pick the right people.
That's a good idea. You mentioned the Work Investment Act there, and I think they mentioned that at a career fair once. And now, doesn't that help some people get with their tools or books in an apprenticeship program, or in some cases maybe both? Yeah, it depends on every situation, and I think it's important to say this, that everybody's situation is different from the next, and so it does come down to an individual thing, and whether that particular person qualifies for whichever part of the program they might be able to take advantage of. But yes, it provides funding for there's relocation funding in there. There's whatever the situation is that you're dealing with, then that's where they look for in the Workforce Investment Act to see if it's something that you qualify for. And yes, they have provided tools for apprenticeships. There's actually situations where operating engineers, there's a safety course that's needed before they get into their program, and that's something that the Workforce Investment Act has provided funding for to help them get past that first step to get into the apprenticeship. So there's different things that they can do, and I don't want to say that everybody gets everything. That's up to the Department of Labor and those specific cases, but I still think that it's important that they understand that the program's there and that they should go in and look at it and see if there is something that they can qualify for and taking advantage of during this dislocation. A dislocated worker, it's a program built for them. So I think they need to know about it. Yeah, I remember one time at a career fair at the Department of Labor, and the gal talked about that, and I was just like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know it existed. And then like a year later, I guess they lost funding. So it's something that's not always there. It all depends on the funding. And so right now, is it in effect?
Yeah, every Department of Labor has, if I understand that right, they all have their specific funding that they have. But yeah, as far as I know, and each office is going to be different as to how much of their funding they've used and everything. So I wouldn't be able to answer that directly for each office, but with what I have worked with this year, there's been funding for WIA.
Yeah, so I guess each office or each location has their own budget or whatever they go by. The one thing I really liked about the apprenticeship program when I got in, number one, it was making more money. And I think you seen a couple weeks ago on the news there where Idaho's #1 in the nation for minimum wage earners. And so you can really see the students' eyes light up when you talk about the apprenticeship program, how much they start out at. And I've been really fortunate and grateful too that sometimes the kids' parents is there with them.
Yes.
Because they don't know about us. And so they really encourage them, and it helps. And I know that a lot of kids today really don't talk to their parents that much. And one thing it's been kind of helpful too is when I talk to the kids, I give them a retirement example sheet, and tell them all the benefits and all that, and ask them to go home and talk to their parents about their retirement and their insurance and stuff like that. And so I'd like to see what the reaction has been on that. But it's amazing that how many people don't know about the benefits of the apprenticeship program, and being union and having a voice in the terms and conditions of their employment.
I think that when I have the opportunity to actually break down apprenticeship and the benefits of the apprenticeship, one of the big things I talk about is the short period of time that you're giving up to go through this program. Of being able to make that top dollar when you come out. I mean, I kind of relate it to my own story. I've been in the workforce for 35 years, and still don't make the wages that you can make when you come out of a trade apprenticeship. It's something that unless you go through an apprenticeship, I don't know of any other program that does that for a person, within a 4 to 5 year period that you're making the top dollar in that industry. And I just think, and I put that in perspective for them, and it really does make people, you can tell the wheels start spinning in there, and they understand. And then that's when the other question comes out. It's like, well, what kind of apprenticeships are there? So that's, and then that's when I get to talk about, that we need new people coming into the construction trades, because it's, a lot of our workers are going to be retiring out, and we need new people coming in, and that the trades are just as much of a skilled career as any other career out there. I mean, it's needed just as much as anything else is needed, and you can take pride in that work. It's a good job, and so I like to talk about it. I think that if I would have known what apprenticeship was when I was a youth, I would have looked into it. Yeah. I didn't know about it until later in life. So.
Yeah, I really like the response you get from the gals, because when you tell them that, hey, how would you like to have be the foreman and have a crew of guys, and you'll tell them what to line them out and all that and everything, and we let them know that we've had 8 women go through our apprenticeship program, and one became the vice president of Sturgeon Electric, which is a national company. They're huge, but and they really like that idea, and they know that. There's other options out there. Unfortunately, some students think there's 2 options after they get out of high school: military or college. And not that either one of them is bad, but you probably had the same thing happen. You meet people where they've went to college, they can't find a job what they went to school for, and they owe a lot of money for tuition. Yeah. And I don't know what the other apprenticeship programs are, but with ours, the schooling's free, and I'm sure the others are too, and that really appeals to them. So it's about just getting the message out there and planting the seeds, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure the whole labor movement as a whole does too.
I know you guys are out doing your own education and everything, and I think it's great. And I think that the more we can get out there and educate, the better we are. I mean, that's part. I think that's part of our job, is to make sure that people do know and understand what that program really is.
Yeah.
So it's good.
It is. Well, Denise, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And I'm sure we'll see you around. It's a small planet.
Oh, I'll be around.
Well, that's all we have for tonight's episode, and we'll see you next time on the Union Pride program. Thanks for watching.